So very happy to have seen all of this leading up to our next company for positive impact. We're looking at Bus54, which has been referred to as the Spotify of transportation in all of the African continent, as I understand it, which is quite a big undertaking. So please, Ezra, join us on stage.
Bus54 has built the digital infrastructure that will power passenger transportation in Africa. I am Ezra Anajonu. I'm CEO, co-founder, Bus54. Over 90% of Africans rely on informal, fragmented, and cash-based transaction system for intercity journeys. One of the major reasons is simply that 90% of these transport operators are offline. This creates a vicious circle where these transport operators don't have access, and key players don't have access to data for routing, scheduling, pricing, and even for planning. The problem is further increased by limited access to financial products or even the financial infrastructure with which they can grow their businesses. They now have to rely on older buses that are more polluting and not very energy efficient, which leads to increased greenhouse gas emissions. And right at the center of the vicious circle is the African passenger, who in most cases, to book an intercity bus journey, will need to do a trip to the operator's bus terminal a day or two before. This is not only costly, as it adds about 5 to 15% on the journey cost, but it's also time-consuming. And lastly, it is a source of avoidable greenhouse gas emission. And so, why does this really matter? I really reflect on this. And increasingly, African governments are pushing for a shift from cash-based transactions to cashless transactions. And so, for the first time, we're beginning to see the will by African governments to enable that transition. Africa has a young and growing population that are digitally native. And so the time is really right. We've just signed the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And if we're to live up to the spirit of that free trade agreement, then there needs to be seamless movement across the borders between African countries. This presents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build the digital infrastructure that will power transportation from the ground up without the constraints of legacy systems that plagues other continents. And that's what Bus54 has done. We've built an end-to-end digital transportation platform. Our software as a service solution, complete with payment integration and analytics, enables transport operators to make that transition from offline to online in as little as 48 hours. It is self-service, which gives full control of their end-to-end operations. And cost-effective as well, because they require little to no additional investment in IT hardware. What that means for the African passenger is they can now truly experience aviation-style booking and travel experience. And this is how it works. An operator signs up, they upload their compliance documents, an admin dashboard is provided, and they can now download Bus54's QR code scanning app, which they use to validate tickets. Passengers can now search, book, compare with the aggregated data using payment methods of their choice. More importantly, they are able to experience real-time journey updates, not just for themselves, but for their next of kin, if their next of kin opts in for this option. Lastly, they're able to rate drivers. That feedback is really important to help us improve the quality of our service. It's a €2 billion market. That's what the data tells us, and we know the data is limited. Bus54, and just take a pause and look at that graph. The share of rail transportation in Africa and the investment needed for rail transportation to meet up with Africa's growing demand will never be met. for the foreseeable future, road transportation is what Africans will use for intercity travel. It makes sense to invest in that now. With 90% of transport operators offline, it presents a 1.8 billion euro opportunity. Using our partners in financial services and the push by the government to transition to cashless transactions and our payment gateway providers, we're able to acquire both transport operators and users at €0 acquisition cost. And that's our business model. We take a 5 to 10% commission per ticket sold currently. And we have future revenue streams, an all-in-one software solution, which is designed to reduce the time to market for new entrants into the transportation industry. A marketplace, which is a convergence of third-party providers from from bus manufacturers to spare part manufacturers, insurance products, banks, will be able to converge in this marketplace and offer their services, not just to sell, but also to safely recycle products that will be generated out of our operations. And then lastly, leveraging the spare or limited capacity of transport operators, we're able to deliver parcels within our ecosystem. We will hit 500,000 daily users in 5 years with a revenue of just under 13 million euros per month. Again, ambitious. Our data tells us that we are on track. We spent the last 6 months on beta mode. We have 150 buses on our platform, 12 routes, 2,500 passenger bookings, and our customers love us. And that's why they've given us a 4.9 out of 5 star rating. We've just signed a partnership with one of the major insurance players in Nigeria, which unlocks access to 150 new transport operators who have combined 15,000 seats to be sold, tickets to be sold per day. What we're most excited about is the launch of our internet data-free mobile application. That enables us to reach Africans who find internet data expensive. Our founding team comprises of individuals with industry and domain expertise, corporate and startup experience, and we're backed by a fantastic team of advisors, one of whom is sitting here today, along with our corporate partners, the International Development Organization for Germany, GIZ, AWS Loft Accelerator, and Cornerstone Insurance PLC. I've let the cat out of the bag, Nigeria. They are as fanatical about our vision as we are, and we see Bus54 not just as a startup, but as a movement. So join us, follow us, share our story, and together we will improve and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, one ticket booking at a time. Thank you.
Over to you guys.
One question is, like, out of these 150 buses that you have integrated so far, how many different companies are behind? Is these individuals that they buy the bus and operate them?
No, three.
Companies?
There are 3 different companies.
3 different companies.
3 different transport operators.
Interesting. Obviously, like, first and foremost, you will look at covering more of the market. But at some point, I think one idea could be to add a lending feature to allow companies to also finance the buses, because there is some stream of revenues that is predictable.
Yeah.
There is a company started from Africa called Move that did it for Uber individuals wanting to buy Uber cars. And that could be like an added feature that can, increase the, appeal to those companies that they want to integrate into the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is really great. And it's the reason why we're creating that marketplace. Yeah, a convergence of the data ensures that all the parties in that marketplace are able to see the transactions, everything is transparent, and they can make informed decisions about giving credit and providing access to these transport operators. One thing I should mention is our business model is built in such a way that it maximizes revenue for the transport operators and incentivizes them to make that shift to digital. So a marketplace where they are able to access products cheaper helps them reduce the operational cost. Leveraging their spare capacity, they're able to maximize revenue by including integrating parcel delivery. And so that's the whole thinking behind that marketplace. But of course, for that to be trusted, there needs to be data. And that's why we sort of pushed it a little bit further to generate enough data and insight that will support the marketplace. But thanks.
A very exciting use case. As being a Swiss, grew up here, we don't use buses in a way like in Africa. So great presentation. Thanks very much. My question from my side, is there any, kind of idea of, maybe calculating how the real impact of your solution would be, like in terms of carbon emission? Well, maybe it's too early for that, or is it something you have in mind?
It's something we have in mind. What I didn't mention is a loyalty program as a way, again, of incentivizing individuals. So think about it. When you book online, you have avoided, emissions. There should be an incentive and there should be an incentive, a way to incentivize these users who have helped to reduce emissions. It's something we're thinking about, and we'll really love to see happen, not just for users, but also for operators in that market space. There is a lot of byproducts, potentially polluting that will be generated. Batteries need to be changed. Tires need to be changed. Can carbon financing help with that? So when a transport operator returns those and it's safely disposed, they can earn some credit. These are real opportunities that we want to explore.
Thanks.
No, amazing. Really, I think any of us who has traveled to Africa, but also similar patterns in Asia, right, can relate to that being a massive added value, right, to the people on the ground. So really, really love the project. One of the things that I can, encourage you to do with my hat of more CMO hat is how do you early on start building the brand also with consumers, right, and with the bus drivers and the bus operator that you're bringing in, right, because also with the reflection we have maybe in Europe, in the US with Ubers and then similar competitive brand, right, then getting more race to the bottom on what the incentive is to grow the community of taxi drivers and then users, then the last barrier standing to that is really the brand, right? So how do you, and the earlier you do it, the more you can do it organically and cheaper, then the most long-standing relationship you get with that. So well done, and I think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, no, thank you. Do I have time? Or? Okay. So yes, that's something we're also looking at. It's yes, now is the right time to look at that. It's why we decided for the launch of our mobile application, we're going to make it internet data free. The reason we've pushed that back is because we decided to launch it in the QR code scanning app. So if you think about it, we're taking away the frictions that will make people carry cash. MasterCard will tell you in Africa, failed transactions is a common feature. You go to a supermarket, you want to pay, the supermarket attendant tells you, well, sorry, our servers or the POS machine isn't working. And so at that point, you're stranded. So we're taking that. If the POS scanning, the QR code scanning device is internet data free, takes away the excuse for paying with cash because it doesn't work to validate my ticket. So we're looking at these things systematically and taking away all of those frictions so that we enable that smooth transition into digital. But yeah, to the brand, it's something that we really need to work on. Thank you.